So I think the conference has been amazing, and it reinforces for me the fact that everything is interrelated and that the world's like a gigantic, twisted, interrelated braid, and that no one single thing can be considered in isolation, which is one of the mantras of our firm. And part of the problem that we now face was primarily created in the 20th century, where things were looked at in isolation. So you had a transportation planner working by themselves, a water engineer working by themselves, putting water in culverts. You had mechanical engineers, sometimes being incorporated with architects, but many times not. And so I think the big lesson for me is that everything's interrelated, and that we're all part of this cosmos that encourages our profession to be much more interrelated, much more interdisciplinary. So we're very fortunate that we have landscape architects and planners as a part of our company, but really in the ideal world, you'd be also integrated with energy experts and with a kind of engineering component as well, which we certainly try to do. But the issues that we can deal with from the platform of our company cross all of the things that we talked about today: urban farming and yesterday, water, energy, specifications. So I think that's the great lesson, is that architecture is no longer about what we thought it was, I think, when we were in school, that it's much more of has much more of a responsibility to really interweave all these various systems together. Well, I think one of the great things about the Design Futures Council and about this conference is the number of deans of architecture schools that are here, and how the DFC has clearly realized that it begins with education, it begins with the schools. And I think the future will hopefully create a new kind of paradigm for architectural education, where, as many folks discussed through this conference, sustainability is not a separate thing. That when you're in a design studio, that design studio is not just about beauty, it is also about integrated systems, and it's also about high performance systems and energy. And the other thing that hasn't really been talked about in this conference is also the integration of the land. So there's one thing to design an energy efficient building, but it's also important to design an energy efficient land mass, related to water, related to transportation, related to all different kinds of infrastructure. So I think, much like my first statement about it being like a braid, I think architecture and education of architects needs to be much more interwoven with other disciplines. Well, I think that Ed Mazzaria's talk, to me, was remarkably encouraging, that the AEC's role has already been, for the past 18 to 20 years, one of the leading lights in terms of helping to save the planet. And when you look at what's already occurred in terms of a moment in time where clients didn't know what LEED was, they would argue that it was too expensive, that they didn't care about it, to now it being part of our nomenclature, it being part of the lexicon of our world. And that was due to the leadership of the AEC community. So I think the AEC community is in an exciting way at a new platform to kind of take that to the next level and to pick up the charge that Ed talked about, and keeping us below that 2% growth of carbon.